times.
That would be fun.
Regular meeting of Clear Lake City Council of Tuesday, September 7th, 2021 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Mark, that we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. To the consent agenda, this is number 3A, minutes of August 16th, 2021, of which you have a copy. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you also have a copy. We need approved dates for the fall large item pickup, and that shall be the week of October 4th. We have a tax abatement application with Gary Early of 402 Oak Hill Court. We have the following licenses and permits: a tree trimmer license, Westaby Tree Service, Alexander, that's a renewal. An excavator license, Mort's Water Company of Latimer, that's a renewal. We have street closing request, Clear Lake Fire Department for the 9/11 Memorial Service on Saturday, September 11th, and the Zion Lutheran Church on Sunday, September 12th. Motion, please.
So move.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Mark, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now is the time and place for anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on any issue or concern that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so the clerk can properly enter the minutes. This is not a discussion time, nor is it a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. Welcome.
My name is Jeff Bertz, B-E-R-T-Z. I live at 15 Country Club Place here in Clear Lake.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I come representing the Clear Lake Pickleball Club. I'm hoping that everybody knows what pickleball is by this point. I've had an opportunity to meet with the mayor and Scott and also Adam Long a little bit, talk about what we're doing. What I'd like to do is just go briefly through some bullet points, and I've got some just handouts that kind of underscore what we're talking about and where we'd like to see our program go. Right now, we formed this club as recently as this April, so we got started in April and May of this year. As of today, we have over 315 participants in the Pickleball Club page. We've got a growing paid membership. We started a paid membership this year to help facilitate and pay for some small nominal bills and kind of get the club on its feet. Pickleball itself is the #1 growth activity in the country, adding over 25% growth in each of the last 2 years. Nothing even comes close in terms of new trending outdoor activities, indoor activities. There are currently over 34,000 pickleball courts in the country, literally more being built and opened every day. As far as Clear Lake, when we started this program, worked with the Parks Department, worked with the city, spoke with the school district, and what we came to is we took 2 tennis courts out at the high school complex, converted them into 4 pickleball courts. Pickleball is generally played in doubles, so 4 pickleball courts gets you 16 people on the court at any one time. There are many, many mornings when we play that we've got 22, 24, 26 people out there wanting and waiting to play. We've done some intro to pickleball classes for new people that are just taking up the sport. We welcome everybody. There's no, A division, B division. It's one of the things you'll find if we get you individually involved in pickleball. It's a hugely social sport, very inexpensive to get involved in. It's a very easy sport to get kind of connected to. To date, we've had visitors that have found us via either the chamber or our Facebook page from Des Moines, Cedar Falls, Osage, Charles City, Algona, Mason City, Minneapolis. We had a lady in town now from Denver that found us, and she's in town for a period of time. Even today, when I stopped at the Chamber of Commerce to chat, they're fielding questions. Do you have pickleball in Clear Lake? How can we get involved? Can we bring our gear? Can we bring our As a side note, Mason City has a club that's been going roughly 6 years now, and they've converted and built courts over there. They just held a tournament with 129 teams in Mason City, 129 doubles teams from 6 different states. A 2-day tournament, food, lodging, the whole bit goes with it. There's opportunities like that going down the road as we continue to grow our program. Our club members are excited about the prospect of the indoor courts at the Wellness Center. It's just, I've encouraged them all to take a look at that video fly through, and it looks like it's going to be a tremendous asset. So, why am I here? What we're asking is the city's help in securing appropriate space to build permanent courts. Most popular spot that we've discussed and discovered is the north end of the soccer fields out at Outlet Park, that Outlet Recreation Park. There's 2 large, part of what I'll give you is a little overview map that I can let you see. The land is flat, parking's plentiful. It does not sit right next to residential property. There's been some issues where people have built a private court in a residential district, and it can make a little bit of noise. But out there, it's set apart from everything. So we're looking for land, and I know there's other parks available. That one appeals to us in terms of knowing what we feel would be sustainable, and like I said, the access for kids riding bikes through neighborhoods rather than crossing highways, it's perfect. In terms of funding, there's a number of grant programs available that we've already kind of quietly researched until we can come forward with land and some sort of cooperative agreement with the city. We just started researching these. Wellmark Insurance they gave out 6 $25,000 pickleball grants last year in Iowa alone. AARP has a grant program, USA Pickleball Association. There's all sorts of them. I've had 2 service clubs reach out to me to make a presentation, which I'm doing next week. So that's sort of what we're kind of getting the precipice, so we need your help. We need some city go-ahead, some city, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do. Can we look to the city, Clear Lake, for funding, matching funds, some kind of a grant program? Since it would be on city property, and this I have not researched, we would hope to be able to use the city's 501c3 so that donations are tax deductible. That's kind of my pitch. That's a little bit of who we are, where we'd like to take it. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and we'd like your help.
Thank you. We'll take this under advisement.
Thank you. Can I just leave these?
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. And a couple of our board members came from all support. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Welcome.
Jessica Wood, W-O-O-D, and my address is 531 27th Avenue South. I just wanted to talk briefly about the Phase 4 and 5 of the Stone Cliff subdivision and bring up some things that I feel like were kind of overlooked when I looked at that proposed plat for that. There are currently, off the top of my head before I came here, I was trying to add up the number of kids, but like 36 kids under the age of 10 living in the existing subdivision. So they're going to almost double the amount of houses back there, and as I can see it, there's 0 green space. Developers in other cities usually have to leave a certain percentage of green space when it comes to making a development that large. And my house backs up to that subdivision, so I'm not a part of it, and I have a plenty big yard. But when we did our driveway approach, we were required to put in a sidewalk. And it was our understanding that that sidewalk was to maintain traffic from those subdivisions to Pine Tree Park for the children that were living there. I haven't seen, I mean, that's just what I heard, but I haven't seen that sidewalk continued, and I also don't think that's a super feasible option for those kids to walk to Pine Tree, and there will be, you know, almost 100 houses at the end of this, and I think it's a great neighborhood for young kids and young families to come to Clear Lake, but I don't think it's feasible to have that many houses and no park. So if you look at the Stenberg addition, it has about maybe 15 finished houses, and they had to maintain 1 or 2 lots for a park. And so I just wanted you to take into consideration that maybe it should be required to maintain 2 or 3 lots as green space, or to put a park that serves that neighborhood so that those kids didn't have to walk or bike to Pine Tree Park. Because as I looked at the proposed plat, it looked like just all houses and then 1 outlot. So that's all I wanted to propose that you take into consideration. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to address the council this evening? None appearing, we'll move on to unfinished business, of which we have none. We'll move to 6A, 2020 East Main Avenue Street Reconstruction and Bike Lane Extension Project. Review, Mr. Flory. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, take a quick look at the items in the packet on this item. First item is white sheet, Veedstra and Kim, Jason Petersburg letter regarding the final assessment plat revisions, and then just the page after that is the 2 properties that were affected by the adjustments. The yellow sheets after that are the resolution adopting levying the amended final plat for the project. If you recall back at the meeting on July 19th, you had approved the final plat and schedule of assessment for the 2020 East Main Avenue Bike Lane and Street Reconstruction Project. The property owners had until the end of this week to make their assessment payments to the city, and then, of course, after that, then we file them with the county treasurer, certifying the amount of unpaid collections there. Jennifer advised me today that we're at about 71% collections on that project, so that's really good. That's more than what we had anticipated for budget purposes. 2 properties, those are the 2 in that sheet that I just mentioned a moment ago, did incorrectly include water and sanitary sewer services. Each of those has service from alternate locations, and in both cases, those service laterals did meet city specifications, so they should not have been included as a water and sewer service lateral extension there. So we did catch that. The negative part for us is we have to readopt the entire final assessment schedule and plat, so that's what that resolution in your packet does. And then we have to refile that amended final plat and schedule with the county treasurer. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I've got a couple. First of all, from a councilman's standpoint, at least in the 14 years I've been involved, probably the most challenging thing that we have to do is to assess people. I mean, you just know it's going to cause a certain amount of pain to some of the homeowners, and they're going to be unhappy. And at the end of the day, it's one of the things you get a lot of kickback on. But it's been our policy for, I think, at least 35 years or more on rebuild projects, and you know, it's what we do, I guess. Anyway, based on this happening, I'm very disappointed. I mean, we pay a tremendous amount of money for the engineering on these projects, and usually it's done excellently and we have no hiccups. And it's got to be done because you got to get this right. But the assessments are a pretty big deal when the people get them. And when it ends up being wrong, I'm sure they were a little shocked and also probably quite angry. And I just felt I needed to make a comment because you know, there are just so many sides to this aspect of this, in addition to interrupting people's lives for many months. And I just hope whoever we continue to deal with checks things a little more carefully and make sure this doesn't happen again. And I don't know if it's happened, but I would encourage the city, if it hasn't been done, to at least send a letter of apology to these two property owners for this mix-up. You know, and I'm at 72 years of age. I know mistakes are made, and you know, it happens. But to me, this was a little bigger one than some of the others. So, in the For What It's Worth department, those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other comments, council? Thank you, Scott. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2135, a resolution adopting and levying amended final schedule of assessments for the 2020 East Main Avenue Street reconstruction and bike lane extension project. Motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 2135. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Bennett?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0, and Resolution 2135 is duly adopted. 6B, City Credit Card Policy Update Revisions. Review Creighton Schmidt, Director of Finance. Welcome, Creighton.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In this pink document here is the resolution for the credit card policy. This is to replace the current credit card policy that was established back in 2004. Prior to last week, the credit cards that we had used for the city for purchasing did not have a rebate available on them, so we had those in place since, I believe, 2004. And so I was actually talking with Pete about it, and we had that discussion, and then right after we had that discussion, I went over to the bank and talked with Diane about how we get our credit card to have a rebate on it. So when we're using our credit cards, we're getting some money back every time, and she was able to, by the end of the week, get that in place, so we switched over our credit cards so they now get a rebate. With that in mind, I went back and revisited our credit card policy. In the past, it was very strict. Only a few people within the city would have access to a credit card. So this one is more to broaden that policy. We still have in there the who can have credit cards. It's bigger. It's all department heads can have access to credit cards, which actually will make for a more secure environment. Right now, with only a few credit cards, when someone needs to use that credit card, oftentimes people are asking me, can I use your credit card? And then they take it out, and then they have to bring the receipt back to me and all that sort of thing. But if everyone has their own credit card, of course, then they're responsible for their own purchases. So it does that, establishes some new limits for the credit card. It was very strict in the past as far as what we use those on. This makes it so there's a more broad base that we can use it on. We haven't taken that step yet, but knowing that we can get a rebate on purchases made with the credit cards, I wanted to be able to do that if we make that a process moving forward.
Council, any questions for Creighton?
Sorry. I guess I'm hoping we never have a bill that goes over the due date and pay any interest at the 10 million% interest or whatever it is.
Just
Yeah.
shy of 10 million.
Yeah, okay. And just out of curiosity, how many total credit cards are we probably going to have when this goes into effect?
Probably about a dozen.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
And it'll be the same process as far as paying the credit card bill, so we do that now monthly, so hope we'll do the same thing. There'll just be a few more transactions on it in the future, so yeah, that would never be a problem where we got into an interest on the credit card.
And thanks for looking into this and doing this revision, appreciate that. Therefore, council entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2136, a resolution approving credit card policy.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2136. Is there a discussion? Mike,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
and Mark.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Resolution 2136 is duly adopted. 6C, 600 block Buddy Holly Place and 400 block Main Avenue Alley Improvement Project. Intro, Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mayor. The blue sheet in your packet is a resolution adopting plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the 2021 alley reconstruction project. Purple sheet that follows that is just a milestone timeline there showing some of the next steps in terms of where they are in terms of the calendar. The yellow sheet is a notice to bidders that we would propose to submit out for rebidding of the 600 Buddy Holly Place alley portion of the project. And then the last sheets are those, the pink sheets that are resolution setting the date for the bid letting on that 600 block of Buddy Holly portion of this alley improvement project. If you recall, tonight was the time, date, place previously established by the council for the public hearing on the plan specification, form of contract, and estimate of cost. Of course, we published notice in the paper of both the, of the hearing, and also published the notice of the letting and the required places that it's supposed to be put per the Iowa code. It doesn't go in the paper anymore. The city received no bids in response to our request for sealed bid proposals. There's no exception in Iowa law that would allow us to avoid the statutory requirements due to a lack of bids. So some cases you might say, well, let's find some contractors and negotiate out a price, but we're not allowed to do that under Iowa law. So don't have any options other than just to simply rebid the project or abandon the project. Jason's going to talk a little bit about this, but he talked to some of the prospective bidders that we had for this project, and the scheduling just wasn't working out for them with the current workload that they had. So I'll let him talk a little bit more about that, but we thought about breaking the project down. There are two components to it, the 400 block of Main Avenue and then also the 600 block of Buddy Holly Place. So, well, let's see if we can try to maybe get at least one of those components done. So we selected the 600 block of Buddy Holly Place as kind of the one that would be more favorable to the contractors in terms of construction and where we're at in the year. So we decided we would present that this evening to rebid that portion of the 2021 alley improvement project. So that would begin yet this year. So the date, if you look back at that purple sheet in your paper and your packet, the timeline for the project identifies that, again, the bid letting would be held. So tonight we would set the date for the bid letting. Bid letting would be held September 16th. Then at your meeting on the 20th, we would consider an award of contract, and then also at that same meeting approve the contract and bonds just to try to expedite the project for construction purposes a little more. So we would hope to begin construction by the end of September and then have a completion date of October 31st, and that would be on the Buddy Holly portion of it. Then we would come back with the Main Avenue portion and rebid that over the winter. So maybe January we would rebid that with a late spring construction date, try to have that wrapped up by June 1st at the latest. So again, as I mentioned, the resolution sets the date for the bid letting for September 16th at 11 a.m. And then, like I said, the consideration of award of contract, assuming we get a bid, at that same meeting on September 20th, along with the approval of the contract and bonds. I don't have anything further. Jason's going to talk a little bit about the conversations that he's had with some of the contractors who were plan holders for the project and why they opted not to submit any bid. So Unless anyone has any questions of me.
Council, any questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. To review a bid letting, Jason Petersburg, Veenstra and Kim. Welcome, Jason.
Mayor, council, as Scott indicated, no bids were received from the 8 contractors who took out plans on the project. I did have a conversation with several of the contractors that we did anticipate the bids from. 2 of them said they're no longer bidding work this fall. They have a lot of work going on right now. One was concerned with managing or being the general contractor for the utility portion of the Main Avenue project. There was a fairly significant amount of sanitary and storm sewer work on the Main Avenue alley. So he opted to not bid at that time. And then one of the other ones picked up a different project that same morning over in Mason City, so he decided not to turn his bid in. By moving ahead with the Buddy Holly Alley this year and the reletting, it'll allow Alliant a little more time on the alley downtown, as well as some of the property owners that have some work that they need to do there. And then by having the Buddy Holly Alley complete, the share or the cost share of the alley on Main Avenue will be closer to 50-50 for paving versus utility work. So we could open the door to more general contractors or prime contractors on that project, whereas the utility contractors could prime that since they'd have about 50% of that project. So any questions?
Council, any questions for Jason?
Yeah, Jason, if I could. It sounds like splitting this up is going to be more effective in getting bids from these folks. Is that?
It's going to be more effective and also allow us to get one of them done this year. So there wasn't any utility work on the alley behind Buddy Holly there. Alliant Energy does have some work to do in there. That is a little bit of a concern. I talked to Alliant about it today. To date, they'd been focusing on the Thrifty White Alley, getting all the work done there, all their materials ordered. So they're going to check on their materials tomorrow for Buddy Holly and reverse and start on that one first, see if they can get that work taken care of in time for us to get that paved yet this year.
Sounds good. And I wanted to thank you for meeting with us down there. I know with my schedule it's difficult. I appreciated your time meeting with one of the business owners in that Main Avenue alley to discuss that project. It is a little complicated, but it sounds like this will work out for all parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me also take this opportunity to thank you and V&K for all the work that you do for us, because I know, just my little experience here on the council, you've worked on any number of projects for us, some very complicated and complex. And I have to tell you, your work is excellent. And so I just wanted you to know we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Council, any other comments, questions for Jason? Thanks, Jason. Scott, procedurally now, do we include both of those?
We just have the public hearing on the plans and specifications, and there's no action for a bid since we didn't receive any.
Okay. Now is the time and place for the public hearing with regard to 600 block Buddy Holly Place and 400 block Main Avenue Alley Improvement Project. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address that, please approach the podium, give your name first and last, and your address so the clerk can properly enter it in the minutes. None appearing, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on the 600 block Buddy Holly Place and 400 block Main Avenue Alley.
So moved.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mark, that we close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2137, which is a resolution approving the plan, specs, form of contract, and estimate of cost.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Mike, that we approve Resolution 2137. Is there any discussion? Gary.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
And Mike.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Resolution 2137 is duly adopted. And now I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2138, which is a resolution setting a bid letting date, which shall be September 16th, 11 a.m. here in the council chambers for the 600 block Buddy Holly Place alley reconstruction project.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Mark, that we approve Resolution 2138. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Bennett,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Gary.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Resolution 2138 is duly adopted. 6D, preliminary plat, Stone Cliff subdivision, phases 4 and 5. Intro, Mr. Flory.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Just take a quick run through the items of the packet. The yellow sheet is a cover memo from the Planning and Zoning Commission indicating that they've reviewed the preliminary plat for Stone Cliff 4th and 5th subdivision. On the backside of that is a resolution approving the preliminary plat for that same 4th and 5th subdivision. Then the next page is an approval of the subdivision plat from the county auditor. And then the next sheets that follow that just cover sheets from the actual plat itself. So just in the way of some background comments on this one, again, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this plat at its meeting in July rather. Combined the two subdivisions, so the 4th and 5th phases total, what do we have here? 35 total building lots for this, so pretty significant addition here to the community. That kind of breaks down in the 4th phase. There are about 16 building lots in that 4th phase and 19 here in the 5th phase. And then just want to point out that Phase 4 does also include that extension of Wellington Drive onto 27th Avenue South there at the Wedgewood intersection. Property currently is zoned RS8, which of course is medium-density, single-family residential, and the site itself is just a little over 24 acres. Most recently, the phase of Stone Cliff, the 3rd phase, had 23 building lots. The preliminary plat for that 3rd phase was approved back in January of 2014, and the final plat was approved in January of 2018. So these do take some time to begin and ultimately conclude. So I don't have anything further on that unless anyone has any questions of me, and Mr. Ritter is going to review the plat and recommendation from Planning and Zoning.
Council, any questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Review and recommendation from Planning and Zoning, Building Official Mike Ritter. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Scott gave you the details on Phase 4 and Phase 5 going in there too, and the combination of these two was actually to save time rather than doing Phase 4 and then coming back shortly afterwards and get 5 done out of there too, to keep everything cost down construction-wise and get a better timeline of filling it all together. Phase 3 right now, in the last year and a half, I've got quite a few houses that have been going out there and it's filling up rather quickly, faster than Phase 2 had. So I think that was the time that we've, even with everything going on around the country with COVID and everything, that at least they're getting more lots available and giving more options for people to build and continue to keep expanding our city. Well, that one. Is there any questions?
Council, any questions for Mike on preliminary plat, Stone Cliff subdivision? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2139, a resolution approving the preliminary plan for Stone Cliff subdivision phases 4 and 5.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 2139. Is there any discussion?
Just one question. This being a preliminary plat, are there options for some changes in the future of it?
Yes. Yes, there would be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Bennett?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Resolution 2139 is duly adopted. Thank you. Chief, report.
I see Mike's in the audience, Mr. Mayor, so I'll just have no report. I can give him a lot of time.
Okay. Public Work Director's report. Jeremy? Welcome, Jeremy. Kornberg.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. A few updates. Fieldstone addition, storm sewer repairs. I talked with Eric Molstead with Charleston Excavating last week. He had planned on starting this week pending weather, so I know some of that rain last week might have held him up, but he hopes to get started this week or next week on those improvements. Second update, Pine Tree Park sidewalk improvements. We will be getting started on the drain tiles for the gutters this week, so we'll be removing the concrete and starting those. I've talked with Jim at Pine Tree Park. We're going to get some signs up that will pretty much be, well, I think he was going to check with City Hall to make sure there's no reservations, but we'll end up closing that down probably for the year once we get started, just because of construction and everything that's going to be going on there. So once I talk to him tomorrow, if there's no more reservations for the year, we'll be closing that thing down and starting those improvements. The other things, tomorrow night, weather pending, we will be spraying for mosquitoes. This rain and weather has actually brewed up some mosquitoes. Haven't had a lot of complaints, but it has been starting to prop up. So try and get ahead of it, and if we can get a good kill tomorrow night, shouldn't have any issues the rest of the year. A couple other things. If you've noticed, there is a light down on Buddy Holly. It's been down for a while. I've been just trying to identify a light to go back in there. They don't make the exact same light. They make the same design, but it's an LED rather than the older sulfur type bulb that they have there. But it's our only option, so I think I ordered that today. Once we get that up, the only hiccup could be having to change out the other older bulbs with LED replacements. I don't think that'll be a big deal. We've had to replace a few of those lights as they've gone out, and we just kind of fabricate them ourselves with some LEDs that we already use. So, and then last thing, if you noticed on Facebook, they announced that we're going to do some spraying for weeds at the cemetery. So if you have any questions on that, or if anybody has any questions, they can contact us. I've talked with Jim at the Parks and Rec, and he's going to be doing that spraying. Essentially, we're using kind of a broad spectrum spray with an additive specifically for crabgrass, clover, and some creeping weeds. It's duly needed out there. Hopefully we can get that started this week. Again, weather pending. Wind is usually our biggest issue, and so once we get that going, we're gonna probably pick out some areas and finish it up with some slight grading and reseeding some of the parts of the cemetery, kind of go section by section, and trying to get that looking a little bit nicer over the next couple of years. So no real big expenses on there besides grass seed and man hours. So but over the years, just grave settling, equipment in there. There's a lot of ruts and ups and downs, so to make it easier on our mow crews and everybody out there, we're just going to try and level some of that out. So other than that, I don't think you have anything else. Any questions?
It appears the grass that was, hydro-seeded in front of the new
Yep.
welcome signs on Highway 18 and 4th Avenue South are growing very well. So.
Yep. I think it's been a little bit over a month, so they've come in pretty good. I think we mowed it once, kept it real high so we could get it mowed, and I think Jim's going to actually go through. He's talked to our chemicals guy, and he said after about a month it'd be good to go in there and do a light spray to kind of take care of some of the weeds that are popping through. So I think he's going to, after he gets to the cemetery, finish up and hit those just one last time. So yeah, came in real good.
With the numerous times so far this summer, and we're headed into fall here, Public Works has done a great job, I feel, in, moving those roadblocks around and pulling them down and picking them up and moving them elsewhere.
Yeah, we got a few more big events here to
Right.
finish out the summer. I think next week, fire department has us using about every single one we have, it looks like. So, and then I think the Zion has a little event too, so we'll be, and then obviously Harvest Fest. So,
Right.
but yeah.
Yep, well done.
All right.
Any other comments, council? Questions? Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Under Mayor's report, just want to make note that Creighton and Scott and Jennifer and myself will be attending the Iowa League of Cities Conference in Coralville. It's a conference that we attend yearly, and the leadership sessions that they hold there are always very, very good and very appropriate to what we do and here in Clear Lake, and it's a well-done conference. And we will be attending that September 15 through 17. And now, Mr. Mike Keefe will give us an update on the 9/11 20th Anniversary Remembrance Ceremony, I assume.
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you. And the only reason I'm going ahead is Pete's got the gun. I didn't bring mine, so. Just a little, first of all, a little summary of what's been happening as far as the fire department. Last month was 132 calls. That's a lot. 127 last year, but we're up 895 for the year, 822 for last year, so we're up about 70. Been lots of calls for falls and victims falling, breaking legs and so forth, so it's been kind of a busy month for us. Reference the 9/11 memorial. Thank you for the streets. If you have any questions about that, one of the reasons we're doing it is for safety. Obviously, we've got a lot of people going to be standing out front of the station, and we are going to, as soon as the program's over with and our procession starts, the closures on 8th are going to be taken down right away. So we're going to have guys on both ends. We're going to take those down just as soon as we get out of there with the trucks. We've got, talked to Jim Finstead, we're about 30 vehicles coming from all over the state of Iowa, from Minnesota, plus our own, plus Ventura. So we hope to have a pretty good procession going around the lake. That is not a parade. It's not going to be a parade. It's going to be a procession. It's lights only. The only vehicle making noise is going to be the Fox ringing the bell. That's the only thing that's going to happen if we keep the Fox running way around the lake. Maybe a wrecker sound coming to get us, I don't know. But that's the only thing it's going to be. There's going to be no sirens blown. It's just lights only. And so we're looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get a few more vehicles. We should be looking right at 50, I think, when we get everybody put together. So it should be a pretty good event. Our speaker is ready to come forward. He'll be flying in on Saturday. He's actually in Jefferson City, Missouri on Friday night because 100 firefighters from Jefferson City went to New York on 9/11. So he's developed a real bond with that fire department down there. So he's going down there. They're flying him down there for a special thing on Friday, and they're going to put him in a Learjet and fly him up here on Saturday morning. So we're kind of looking forward to that. As far as any interesting calls, the most interesting thing we had last month, obviously, was a car fishing expedition out on the lake. We were able to go out and locate that with our sonar. We have a brand new sonar just put on our boat. It's a portable type sonar, much more high definition sonar that we can take off Bud and put on any boat we have on our ice boat too for the wintertime, or drop it through the ice. So it worked out really well. Our underwater drone, when we found the car, it worked well. We could tell the color of it. We could tell it had white wall tires on it. We just couldn't get and the windows were closed, but we couldn't get a license number off because it corroded so bad, so we couldn't get that off. But otherwise, the drone worked really well out there. And so our new sonar, I think, is going to work real well too. As far as our 9/11, we hope to have a flyover. We're working on that real hard right now, trying to get a flyover for that. The other big event coming up, obviously won't have a council meeting before that, is our pancake breakfast. It's going to come up the 3rd of October, so we ask you to come over for pancakes. We are not going to do the drive-through. This is going to be a sit-down, have a cup of coffee, and enjoy the day with us. We're going to have carry-out, but we don't anticipate a drive-through like we did last year. We're going to have a sit-down for that, so that'll be October 3rd. We will be coming in to get tables and chairs out of here, but it'll be Saturday probably, so we'll be picking those up. Any questions, comments about anything on our program? We hope you can make it over there. We hope to have a really good turnout.
Just stand there a minute. I want to go through some facts, which you're going to correct me, I know, but that's good. This is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and I believe it was in May of 2007 that we sent 11 members of the Clear Lake Fire Department out to New York City, and while they were there, connected with a number of New York City Fire Department members, who then escorted them out to JFK, I believe, to a hangar there, and where we picked up the piece of steel that we presently have in front of our fire station. And that's where the ceremony will take place this Saturday. 11 members on 9/11 went and did that. On their way back, they stopped at Shanksville, am I correct?
Yes, we did.
And had the guy hold that open while they got there a little late. But keep in mind, 1,200 miles out there, at least 1,200 miles back. And when they got to the cemetery, fire department cemetery at Iowa City, a legion, shall we say, of motorcycles joined up with them and
Right.
followed them all the way back up 380
Right.
directly to Clear Lake, of which they were greeted out in front of our fire department.
Yep, we actually stopped in Waterloo Fire Department, had a brand new station on the south side of Waterloo. Chief wanted to see this deal, so we stopped there, picked up more motorcycle people, and we picked up more in Charles City. Charles City wanted to see it as well. We stopped there. And so we picked up, it must have been 250 by the time we got here, so it was quite a procession coming from New York. It was a once in a lifetime. Those 11 guys would do it again in a heartbeat, I think. I don't think there's any question about that, and we made some great relationships with New York firefighters, and obviously one of them, Mike Moran, he married an Iowa girl, met her on Ragbri, and they got married. And so he was one of our real contacts as far as when we went to New York. But it was an experience that if you ever ridden in a van with 11 firefighters for 14, 15 hours, that in itself was a trip, let me tell you. When you stopped only for gasoline and cigarette breaks, potty breaks, and a little bit of food, it was an incredible trip. And it really was. And it was one that our guys, I know, will remember forever. So, yeah, we had a good time. And we just want to thank the city for everything. You guys helped us out a lot out there, getting out there and helping with our steel and helping with the memorial over there. It's been a really exciting time. If you went by there when the flowers were blooming, it was pretty cool. I mean, the colors that came out of in front of our fire station when the flowers are in just the right time of year is just amazing. So we're going to give Joe a photograph of that. He's going to get a photograph of our museum, our fire station with the flowers out front. So I hope he enjoys that, and we have a really good time, a good turnout for Saturday.
As far as I'm concerned, relationships are what life is all about among your own members and with those New York City Fire Department members. That's the key. And the program starts 5:30.
Well, actually, the program's going to start at 6 o'clock. We made a program to start at 6, but we're going to be around the station all day, starting at 2 o'clock. We got departments coming in, Mayor, so we'll have the program will be right at 6 o'clock. We're going to get it going right at 6. We've got high school band and choir going to participate. We've got the VFW going to participate in a flag raising ceremony. Hopefully, we'll have a flyover. We've got some special people going to be carrying out some of our helmets, and then after that, we're going to have our procession around the lake. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think 50 vehicles going around the lake with lights on is going to be kind of neat. So we're going to even have, I think we're even going to have Bud in the water. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet, but we're going to figure out a way to get Bud in the water and have him part of it, our celebration as well. So
According to the chief, the whole block is.
Yep. And I know, I appreciate that you're letting us do that. I know it's a little inconvenient on 8th. I understand that, but in the years past, we've always had such a problem hearing our speakers because semis are going by and we got cars going by and everything like that. So for safety reasons too, we're going to have a lot of people sitting out there in that street, and we just want to make sure for 30 trucks, we could use part of that street to put trucks in. We're going to have to put trucks on 8th to get them to come out and like we want to for the parade. So that's really one of the reasons we have to get it closed so we can put those in a line. So once we get going, we're going to just take off and go.
Great that you guys have organized this on your 150th birthday, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're organized. We're just going to see what happens. Thanks.
Thank you. Director of Finance report.
All my updates are on the Wellness Center tonight. Adam's out at flag football. I told him I'll do these as long as he keeps the stats on my daughter, so we'll see how she does tonight. The first one is an update for the assistant to the director position, so we're in the hiring phase for that. Adam's had conversations. There's really good applicant flow, so he had a lot of conversations via the phone over the last couple of weeks and has narrowed it down to 3 applicants. So those 3 applicants will be coming here Thursday, Friday, and Monday, I believe. So we'll have in person. interviews with those 3 applicants. The next item here is the phone system for the Wellness Center. So it looks like there's 11 different phones on there. It also includes not only the equipment, but the install and the training of the phone system. So that's all going to be done by CLTel, and that's a total figure there of $2,700. So as we look towards other purchases for the Wellness Center, I think the big ones still out there are the sound system, the PA system that'll tie into that sound system, and then the third one being the Wi-Fi and getting it all wired and ready to go for Wi-Fi. So Adam will have updates on those, but he's getting quotes on those items now and has been getting them over the last week or so. And then the last one is a review of the fitness coordinator job posting. So right now we have Adam, who's the Wellness Center Director. We have this assistant to the director position, which we are in the phases of hiring, as I just mentioned. And then we'll also have this fitness coordinator. So this would be the 3rd full-time position over there. And the fitness coordinator is really going to be focused on the different fitness activities at the Wellness Center, as far as scheduling those activities, scheduling anybody else who's doing the actual classes and that sort of thing, as well as probably participating in leading some of those classes. So just one individual to be specializing in that. And that is it.
Any questions, Councilman?
Just one in general, and Creighton, this isn't your question. I imagine it'd be more appropriate for Adam, but I think it'd be very helpful for the council, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, to, if at this point, you know, they've been doing the planning for quite some time between the board and the staff. If we could get some kind of an overall picture of how this is all going to be put together, from staff to responsibilities, and maybe a little bit of an idea of how many more positions are going to be presented. You know, we're in a situation where every couple of weeks, just kind of out of the clear blue, we get a new position. And I'm not questioning the need for these positions, but, you know, from a council standpoint, it might be helpful if they have a comprehensive plan, that we could get some sort of a basic copy of that. So I guess that would be my request, and I think it'd be useful for all of us.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think these are the 3 primary full-time positions. There'll be a number of kind of contract things and maybe some part-time receptionist kind of positions. And so there'll definitely be more, but these are definitely the 3 kind of core positions for the facility. So
I agree with what Mike's saying. We're sitting there not spending. We knew we had to invest a lot of money. And so far, things keep popping up every 2 weeks, something different. This $2,700 didn't show up in our packet.
Yeah.
Not in my packet, at least.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got to have a phone system.
I understand, but it would have been nice to have it in the packet. So, you know, there are little things like this, but we need to get more involved at the council.
Sure, that makes
A little more transition, I'd say, or something.
Yeah. I just remind you, this is an $11 million project, so, I mean, it's not just a pole barn somewhere, it's a big thing. Yeah.
And that's what makes it more complicated, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, we can't run it with a rubber band budget, though.
And I think the other
we're not
side.
trying that.
All right, that's enough discussion. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. City Administrator's Report, bid letting. Scott?
Yep, just a reminder, so September 15th, we have the bid letting on the 2021 Storm Sewer and Water Main Improvement Project, 11 a.m. here at City Hall, so if anyone's interested in attending that. And then just one item here is a project that I've been working on with a couple local people. They've got some pictures in your packet. They're in the process of buying the property. Some of you may know this from traveling out on East Main. You can access it off of 4th Avenue South. That's kind of the primary way to get in for the trucks. It's the former Five Star Co-op building. It's been owned by a number of people since I've been here, but it's kind of needing a lot of attention. But a couple of North Iowa people have formed their own LLC, and they're going to buy this and rehabilitate it and invest quite heavily in it. And they're working with a company in Waterloo, Greenlee Corrugated is the name of it. They do cardboard boxes. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for us to work with this company to help redo this building and make it much more than what it has been in the past. It's really got a difficult drainage situation. So that's the request that the developer owner has for us is a couple of things to work through for a letter of intent on incentives here would be one to provide a partial property tax abatement. So what we've talked about is the kind of the standard 5-year property tax abatement that we have on the books, where it's on a declining schedule. It's like 70, 60, 45, 30, 15. And then also assistance with professional services and pipe material costs related to drainage improvements for this project. So you can see from some of the pictures, some of the more recent heavy rains and how it's impacted that site and how this kind of cardboard box kind of business, water would not be a friend of that particular industry. So, it looks like a good opportunity for us to work with these folks on this project, and I think they've got some more interest in doing some other economic development projects. Ultimately, looks like it could be about 6 to 10 jobs that would be created by this, and a pretty significant increase in taxable valuation on the property. I think it's currently on the rolls for somewhere around $750,000, and with these improvements that are proposed to be made, it'll be over $2.4 million in new value there in this building. So definitely would be a nice positive thing for the area out there. In terms of, there's a number of properties that would also have some benefit by these stormwater improvements. So if you look at the very last page, there's, working with Jason at V&K on this, some pipe improvements and some ditch improvements. So he's working on cost estimates related to those kinds of things, but it's a pretty significant project in terms of drainage that would have a positive impact on a number of these properties. So there would have to be easements granted from several of these property owners, and I know both the owner of the property and Jason have had some conversation with all of these individuals, and they're willing to sign an easement to the city for purposes of placement of that new storm sewer pipe, which I believe would be a 36-inch, if I'm not mistaken, 36-inch RCP pipe, so pretty good-sized pipe there. So, but I just wanted to give you kind of a heads up on that one before the next meeting, because that's the meeting I would anticipate bringing a letter of intent with the owner and the developer for this project. So. And I don't know if anyone has any questions on that.
Council, any questions for Scott? That's great to see that is finally going to be something that well, it hasn't been totally empty, but.
It's been used for grain, cold storage, those kinds of things. So nothing that would, again, have the kind of tax base that we're talking about here and job creation, and I think the opportunity to do more with the property even beyond this, so.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any other business, council? I have to say this, and I have to make it fair for everyone, but go Cy Hawks. Meeting adjourned.